Hi everyone, welcome back to our channel. I'm Courtney.
And I'm Teddy, and in this video, we're going to be picking out fragrances for different types of personalities. So I think a fragrance should embody a way of expressing yourself. It should give a sense to other people around you what you're all about. And I think this is a fun way of kind of reverse engineering this, looking at different personality traits, whether you're more like of an introvert, maybe you're a morning person, just thinking of these fun ways to characterize people and their personality, and then try to have a corresponding fragrance that will be a good match for them. So we have 4 each. You have 4, I have 4. We'll go back and forth. We have different personalities. The first one we have here is for the introvert.
Yeah, so this first one is definitely my cup of tea. It's Acqua di Parma Arancia di Capri. It's really pretty for the summertime and spring especially. I like to wear this one in the summer. You get that orange, the bergamot, lemon. It's like your traditional citrusy scent, but it does have a hint of caramel, which makes it a little bit different. But the reason I think why this is a perfect one for an introvert is because it smells good and it's something that you can enjoy on your own without projecting so much onto others or trying to be the center of attention.
Yes, it's light, it's refreshing. This is something I could see you spraying on throughout the day and just having this with you, maybe have like a small decant with you. I really do like this one. Performance isn't great, so it's kind of more of an intimate smell.
And since it is a little bit more intimate, I think it makes it perfect for that introvert type of person. Like I said, I enjoy it, but also it's just gonna be something that you can really enjoy and not be so concerned about, what everyone else is thinking.
Now next up we have the creative, and for this category I have Eccentric Molecule 01. So this is a fragrance that is very polarizing, but it does get a lot of love because of the ISO E-Super that's in this. Now this, why I think is a perfect for a creative type of individual and just somebody that wants to maximize their fragrance collection, is more of its ability to layer. A lot of people use this as a way to add longevity to their fragrances, change the way in which some fragrances will react off the skin. Also, this is creative in 2 aspects. You talk about the layering point with that note, but also in addition to that, just how this synthetic construction of this ISO E-Super, how it reacts to off the skin in certain situations does change. Now, some people are not crazy about this. There's some questioning how much people actually smell when you spray this on. Now, the actual scent itself, it's like a bitter, almost like woody, somewhat alcoholic when you first spray it, but it's so light. It's very airy. It goes off the skin. On my skin, I can't smell it. So you can smell it.
Oh yeah, the one day you sprayed it, you came in and I didn't know that's what it was, but it smelled amazing. I love it.
I've been layering this, just been trying layering it.
Yeah.
It's hard for me to pick up how it changes. So I don't know if it's just in my head or not, but I've been getting decent reactions. I don't know. Again, I'd like to hear other people in terms of their experience with eccentric molecules and their different fragrances. But this is a good one for me. When you talk about that creative individual, somebody that wants to have fun, this is what I think of. All right, Courtney, you want to go for our next one here?
All right, next up we have our Partier, and none other than Versace Eros. So I know this one is a little bit stereotypical, a bit repetitive, I will say, but I just think this is a really perfect club scent. It's long lasting. You get that vanilla, mint, tonka bean. It's just really sexy and sultry, and the first thing I think of when I think of someone who is going out to the club or trying to get the ladies.
Youthful, recognizable scent trail.
Yes.
When I walk through Miami, I just smell this everywhere I go. So it's just one of those fragrances that, of course, again, repetitive like you said, but if we're trying to be honest here, I think it is a good pick for this type of individual.
It is what it is, This is Miami in a bottle. If you like going out, this is the one for you.
And good performance. You do have some flankers as well. I like Eros Flame more, which probably could also be here. This is the EDT version that we have here. Some different variations that you can go for when it comes to the Eros line as well. Next up, the hipster category. And when I think of hipsters, where's the hipster capital of the world? I think Brooklyn might be right there. They're in Portland, Oregon, probably the top 2 places. So the next fragrance is called Brooklyn. Now this is a cool fragrance house. So before you cast judgment and say this isn't for me, the nature of which somebody might like this, like that underground fragrance, independent perfumery, there is that upside here, but also I think this is a fragrance that most people can enjoy. Yes. I picked this for 2 reasons. One, this is a small fragrance house known as Galavant. There's actually a small little niche fragrance perfume store in Cleveland, and I saw this brand and I smelled some of their fragrances. It's a bit more sticky. It has this resinous nature to it because it has amber and benzoin in it, an orris root note also, which I think adds some sweetness and herbaceousness to the backbone of this. Lemon, orange, bergamot off the top, but it's a cool way of going about this combination of two type of ideas that typically don't always come together: citrus and then more of that resinous amber in a summer fragrance. It's energetic, I think it's creative, and then this is a small fragrance house at the end of the day. And I think this is, if you want to have something that's different as well as being a little bit maybe overlooked or maybe not known by many people, this to me feels like a great place. So Galavant, they're based in the UK, I believe. Really nice fragrances, and this is probably my favorite one I've tried so far from them. All right, so next up we have the Jock category. Courtney, go ahead.
We have Acqua di Gio Profumo. So this one is ultra masculine. It's refreshing. You get that aquatic, woodsy feel for this one. You get the C notes, incense, bergamot, patchouli. It's just very masculine and safe.
Yeah, and I think the other reason why this is a good choice is you get those masculine elements that you mentioned, but also what I've noticed in the last 20 years of men's fragrances, the marketing around even just base level deodorants and body sprays, it's that marine feel to it. Like that's very much part of the marketing. This is done in a way that's a step up from a lot of that entry level, in other words, kind of trash that's there. Yeah. And this does it in a more sophisticated manner. Still very easy to wear. Mm-hmm. I will say that I was very surprised that this didn't perform that well in our reaction videos, but I do think if you're talking about a sporty fragrance, it's great all year round too, and it's not going to be overwhelming. I think this is a really safe choice. It works in the summer, but also could work in the winter, has decent performance all throughout the year.
Next up, we've got the Business Professional. What do we have, Teddy?
This could probably be defined in a couple different ways. I'm looking at somebody that's in more of like a suit. They want to give off a kind of impression that more of a business-oriented individual, white-collar environment. Mm-hmm. So for that, I have Hermes with Terre d'Hermes. This to me is more on the nose like Versace when you're talking about like what would make sense for a partier. When I'm talking about this category, I think this absolutely fits the mold as well. Mm-hmm. More of a mature designer. Now, really what you're getting here, strong orange note off the top, but more of a dry orange note. It's not combining with that pepper, vetiver, also getting some grapefruit, cedar, but patchouli. This to me is very much a green type of orange that you're getting with this fragrance. And that vetiver is unmistakable. I would say from a mass market perspective, you have Ancre Noir, you have this. These are probably some of the more common fragrances that you're gonna think of, at least from more of a designer perspective. You, of course, have Guerlain, what they're doing as well with vetiver that they have. But to me, this is probably one of those choices that I think of maybe somebody in their late 20s, 30s, they wanna give off a mature scent, or even someone younger, but just gives off that good compromise in middle ground and intersection between still being wearable with also getting that elevated feel. From a designer, I think this is a good choice.
Yeah, I think it's just kind of a no-brainer too. It's just classy, sophisticated. You want to make a good first impression when you're in that kind of environment without being too bold or strong. So, good choice.
Yeah, I will say for some, not for them, but if you are someone that can match this classification, I think this will be a safe choice. All right, so next up we have a category called the dramatic. Now, how I classify this is somebody that's very expressive, not like a horrible person to be around.
Not like a drama queen.
No, I'm talking more about very maybe theatrical. Maybe they're actually in the arts and maybe they're in theater, something of that sort, but they have a very expressive personality. They're fun to be around. They have a lot of energy. And that's really what you kind of gravitate towards. So what do you have picked out here, Courtney?
With that being said, none other than Tobacco Vanille Tom Ford. When you think of drama or someone very animated and expressive, you think of also someone who is bold, maybe very sure of themselves. It's a no-brainer to choose Tobacco Vanille.
Yes, I almost classify this fragrance as borderline flamboyant.
Yes.
I have a full video coming out reviewing this fragrance because I have mixed feelings on it. I will say it's probably one of the better crafted Tom Ford fragrances, but also not an easy one to wear. But when you compare it with the right individual, the right personality like this, I do think, not to just put it in a box, because I think it could be worn in other environments. I think even for certain business professionals, depending on their career path, if you're more in a social environment, I think it absolutely work. But when you compare it in the right type of situation, the right type of person, it's a match made in heaven. This is such a distinctive fragrance for a brand like Tom Ford, which typically is about mass appeal.
I typically don't like this fragrance, but you almost respect someone who's pulling it off. So, good choice.
All right, so now for our last one. We have the morning person. We all know a nice morning person. Sometimes we love them, sometimes we hate them, depending on the mood that we're in. But here I have a company that I wanted to try because they actually have really attainable, at least for like independent niche type of perfumery. It's called Shea and Blue. So this is called Blood Oranges. Now, when I think of a splash in the morning, people always associate freshly squeezed orange juice or something of that sort. This fragrance gives off that vibe more than anything else I've ever smelled. Now, I've smelled a lot of orange fragrances. There's actually a few in this list here today. This is a different type of orange. Like I almost get that freshly type of squeeze. There's a lot of orange fragrances that have more of these kind of green notes in the background. You get that blood orange note, which is really realistic. You also have some other woody notes, but it's not very overwhelming. Some musk, amber, and then also a hint of leather, which is interesting here. But to me, you open this up, it is a very realistic orange note off the top. It reminds me of waking up in the morning. It's fresh, it's inviting, it's clean, it's bright. I just think this is very well done. And these fragrances, I mean, they're like around like $100 or below. They're based in the UK. If you're in the UK, it's even cheaper. I really do like this one. I got a whole sample of all their fragrances, and this was the one that I liked the most. And I think for this category, if you want something very bright, inviting, this is a good one to look at.
All right, guys, that's all we have for this one. If you liked this video or found it helpful, be sure to give it a thumbs up and hit that subscribe button to stay in the loop for when we release new content.
All right, guys, thank you again so much for watching, and we'll see you all next time.